Take me back to the place I know, with the mystery shack and the forest gnomes. I'm already back, so come on, let's go. Don't get me started, my heart's in gravity. Take me back to the place I know, with the mystery shack and the forest gnomes. I'm already back, so come on, let's go. Don't get me started, my heart's in gravity falls.
Welcome to Mystery Shack Look Back, a nostalgic time capsule and, no spoiler, book club of the original Gravity Falls fandom. We are your curators. I'm Charlie.
I'm Ella. Did you know that?
Ella, would you please go fetch the guest bag?
Yeah, why do I always have to fetch the guest bag?
Okay, I'll fetch it. It's fine.
It's heavy. There's a lot of guests in there.
For those who don't know, every guest we're going to have for the entire show, from now until June 16th, 2022, they're already in the bag. We don't pick them up right before the episode.
A lot of times we don't know who we're gonna pluck out of the bag. But I have little arms. I can't.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I got it.
All right.
All right. Now let's reach in. All right. Who are you?
Oh, me. Yes, I am also Charlie. Hi, welcome.
Oh,
whoa! What are the odds?
I know.
Whoa! You never know what you're gonna get.
It's true.
Life is like a bag of podcast guests.
It's true.
For some reason, my mind went to the Wonder Ball first.
I miss the Wonder Ball, deeply.
I believe the Wonder Ball is back.
It is, but it's not the same. It is not the same.
I'm sure they had to make it less fun.
Do you know about the Wonder Ball, Ella?
Yeah.
What do you know about, as the youngest here? Oh, by the way, this isn't actually Charlie. This is,
I'm Shelby. I'm Charlie's twin from another family entirely.
And born in a different year.
But this is year.
Shelby Sessler, also known as Shelbini. She is a cosplayer and TikToker and a close friend of me and Ellis.
Yeah.
She actually, for the first episode, helped me with a lot of the research there, because Ella was busy with school. So, Ella, the Wonder Ball.
The Wonder Ball was a hollow chocolate ball that contained a toy.
No, it contained little shaped candies. It contained candies that looked like...
And it had a sticker. For sure
it did have a sticker.
Because I remember I had an Aladdin sticker, and I loved that thing, because Aladdin was my favorite.
And I loved that Aladdin sticker.
I loved Aladdin sticker.
Like it was my father.
And your family kept being like, Shelby, why don't you get a boyfriend? And you gesture at the Aladdin sticker and you're like, hello?
Have you not looked on my hope chest? There was an Aladdin sticker and only one.
He doesn't even have nipples.
That's okay. Even if he did have nipples, you wouldn't be able to see it on the tiny 3/4 of an inch sticker that came in the Wonder Ball.
So I'm guessing that at some point it got recalled or something like that.
Choking
it doesn't
hazard.
Seem like yeah.
How did you and I meet?
So, fun story. So, back in the day, before Charlie and I knew each other, our mutual friend Austin Nebbia, or Nebbia, how do you pronounce his last name?
Nebbia. Friend of Come On Fahookwa Pods, Austin Nebbia.
Come On Fahookwa Pods, friend of the twins, the mystery twins. I was talking with Austin on the phone, just catching up, and he said, I like your Alex Hirsch cosplay. And I said, thanks. And he said, I have a friend who also cosplayed Alex Hirsch. And I was like, who is this person that has the same sense of humor as me? Very specifically. And he said, this is his Tumblr. Go check him out. And so I went, hey, you have a lot of Homestar Runner stuff on your Tumblr.
Yeah.
We should be best friends now.
The background picture on my Tumblr is Strongbad in self-portrait, sticking his head through the little photo pose cutout, and through the other head hole, I have placed a photograph of my head.
Yes. So we cosplayed Alex Hirsch the same weekend. It was the same weekend, right?
At 2 different cons.
2 different cons.
Same exact day. And you did it to meet Matt Chapman.
Yes, who saw me in the back of the panel room and was like, that person looks like Alex Hirsch. And then I went up.
And he started screaming at the person in the booth next to him. And
yeah, when I got in
understand.
line, I got in line to meet Matt, and he was like, are you dressed like Alex Hirsch? And I said, I sure am. And he went, that's hilarious. And then he just started like slapping the other guy on the arm and was like, she's dressed like my old boss. She's dressed like my old boss. And this guy who worked on Samurai Jack was like, I don't know who that is. And he's like, Alex Hirsch. She's dressed like Alex Hirsch. And he's like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, you don't get it. She looks just like him.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were both people involved in the Gravity Falls fandom, creating cosplays and bringing them to conventions.
Mm-hmm.
In our case, that was when you and I ran the Gravity Falls photo shoot at Anime Next, Ella.
Yeah, kind of very impromptu, but very successful.
It was fun. That was a lot of fun. We got all of them to sing the theme song together. We spent most of the day talking to every Gravity Falls cosplayer and being like, hey, the photo shoot's going to be at this time at this location.
Yeah, there were some great ones. I remember there was a Mermando who had like the merman tail like attached to one of their wrists, so it kind of was bending around.
That's amazing.
That is so
good.
I also remember I did a photo shoot the next day when you weren't at the con, and someone looked at the tree behind us and was like, maybe we could start like sitting in the tree for photos. And while they were saying that, someone dressed as Wendy got to like the very top branch.
Of course.
Before they finished speaking and took a breath again. And everyone was like, is that the real Wendy?
Daughter of the lumberjack.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Shelby, because you are absolutely wonderful and everybody should check out your stuff. You do amazing voice acting and cosplay and
TikToks.
TikToks are kind of both, I guess, at the same time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's me talking and sometimes it's not me talking. That's the weird thing about TikToks. It's
That is how TikToks work.
Yeah, it's a lot like reverse voice acting, where you're like, hey, let me lip sync to just Jason Ritter as Dipper or Charlie as Dipper.
Oh, yeah. We
That's
did that
true.
too.
We did that too.
But this is a very exciting episode to have you on for, because this is not only the first episode of the show written by Matt Chapman, it is the first teleplay he has ever written. So obviously Matt did write scripts when he worked on Homestar Runner, but those were all made over the course of one night, and the person who was doing a lot of the more complicated animation was in the room with him, co-wrote it. So there are no stage directions, and everything is in shorthand, and I will show you real quick.
Because every Homestar episode is like not even 5 minutes on average, right? So
On average.
There is a cartoon they never animated, so they just sent their script to the HR Wiki as a bonus. Nothing is capitalized. The Wiki isn't sure if one character is referring to the cheat or the goblin, because it's just the C or possibly the G.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there's literally a key for like which character, like what abbreviation refers to what character.
Right. So, to write this episode of Gravity Falls, Matt Chapman had to Google, how do you format a teleplay?
Oh my gosh.
And he got it wrong. He messed up and got the line spacing wrong. So his original draft of this episode was 44 minutes long instead of 22.
Because I think like the rule of thumb is like a page of script equals about a minute of screen time. So if you double space accidentally when you're supposed to single space, you will end up with an episode that is too long.
Yeah, so this is Boyz Crazy, the 17th episode of the first season of Gravity Falls.
Oh, you mean the one that premiered on April 19th, 2013 on Disney Channel?
So it was directed by John Aoshima and is credited to being written by Matt Chapman and Alex Hirsch. But what that really means is that Matt Chapman wrote a 44-minute version and then Alex had to...
Correct. Yeah, on top of the rewrites that he generally talks about doing, mostly to Dipper and Mabel's dialogue. In this case, he basically has to cut half the episode.
I mean, that would have been a really long Homestar Runner episode, but I would have been here for it.
I'm sure he enjoyed it. I'm sure he enjoyed every minute of cutting down that script, of like reading everything that Matt Chapman wrote. Although it's probably very painful to cut things that Matt Chapman wrote.
So whenever the way we watch together on this podcast is using Disney Plus's group watch feature, it always labels the link as watch full movie on Disney Plus.
Except a feature is defined as anything that is, I believe, 40 minutes or longer. So the original draft of Boyz Crazy.
The first draft was indeed Boyz Crazy the movie, as Disney Plus states.
Can you imagine,
Correct.
like, the 2-part episode that they could have made that tonight
of all the
on Disney
episodes to
Channel?
make a 2-parter.
With absolutely no stakes to the overarching story.
Yeah.
Absolutely. First season, only movie-length episode is Boyz Crazy.
I would love that, and the rest of the fandom would hate it, which is why I would love it.
Yeah.
Time to click the Disney Plus link to Boyz Crazy full movie.
Next Friday,
Today is the greatest day of my life.
ow, several times,
The cutest boys in the world.
when this boy band hits Gravity Falls.
Several times.
Show sold out.
Oh, I said we're going to meet several times tonight. And I meant it.
Mabel keeps her word.
This is it, girls.
Who goes there? But does she go too far? What's in the bag? Holy mackerel!
We have to promise not to get too attached to them, right, Mabel?
All aboard the braid train. Braid, braid.
Find out on an all-new Gravity Falls. Thank you, good night! Next Friday at a special time of 9, 8 Central on Disney Channel.
All right, so we just watched Boyz Crazy.
Shelby, what do you think of this episode?
It's bringing me back to my old days where I used to just binge Flight of the Conchords on loop because that was my jam.
The reason Kristen Shaw voices Mabel is because she played Mel, the band Stalker, on Flight of the Conchords, which always reminded Alex of his twin sister Ariel. This is the most Mel-like Mabel has ever been. She's literally a band stalker in this one, and also is doing it out of kindness because Mel was never malicious.
Yeah. She was always altruistic.
All right, can I start talking about the guest voice?
Heck yeah!
Who is the guest voice in this episode?
So it's Lance Bass, aka Lanston from NSYNC.
Oh yes, I think I've heard of that little indie band.
Yeah, you might. I can't really name 3 of their albums, but he voices the character Deep Chris, who is a member of the.
Sort of.
Yes.
Alex Hirsch, Matt Chapman, and Lance Bass voiced several times. There was not a lot of continuity kept over who was voicing
He
whom.
is Deep Chris, though.
For
Sometimes.
the most part. I think
When they're singing, it kind of flexes.
Okay. I know they struggled with continuity, but it is Alex and Matt effectively doing a Lance Bass impression.
Mm-hmm.
So can I tell a story of how Lance Bass got involved with NSYNC?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Jason Galassa was the bass singer for NSYNC when the band was first formed. The name NSYNC comes from the last letters of their first names: Justin, Chris, Joey, Jason, and JC. And Jason dropped out of the band at the last second, so Justin Timberlake called his vocal coach and asked him to find a new bass. Or a new bass, huh? Do you think he's related to Big Mouth Billy Bass?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because Lance Bass was being trained by the same vocal coach and was 16 at the time. And so the naming scheme could still work, they gave him the nickname Lanston.
I mean, points for creativity.
And Lance's voice acting debut was not here in Gravity Falls, but actually in Kingdom Hearts, where he voiced the cameo from Sephiroth, the villain from Final Fantasy VII.
So, a very normal career path from being in a boy band to...
I need to point out that Sephiroth has had 3 voices thus far. George Newbern voiced Sephiroth in the film Final Fantasy Advent Children. You might know George Newbern as the voice of Superman from the Justice League animated series. Tyler Hoechlin voiced Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII Remake, which came out last year, 2020. Tyler Hoechlin you also might recognize as one of the alternate Supermen from the Crisis on Infinite Earths plotline on the DC television universe, which means Lanston Bass is the only Sephiroth voice actor who has not played Superman yet.
Yet.
Let's get it going. Let's make a hashtag.
Change.org.
Hashtag Superlance.
Petition.
Super Lance!
Just petitions up. Every petition.
To be fair, I've never seen Lance Bass and Superman in the same room.
That's true. Would we know?
And here's what we also know that might lead a little credence to that theory, Ella.
Yeah.
Lance Bass can fly.
Also
yeah,
very
that's
true.
right.
Lance Bass, this is just a direct copy-paste from Wikipedia, was certified by both NASA and the Russian space program after several months of cosmonaut training and planned to join the TMA-1 mission to the International Space Station. In August 2002, he entered cosmonaut training in Star City, Russia, and he never got to go to space, unfortunately, but he retains fluent Russian to this day.
And he is certified, so he is a cosmonaut.
He is a cosmonaut, and he would be the captain of my starship crewed by the Gravity Falls voice actors.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
In the My Brother, and Me episode 514, titled Kikyo, they discuss this, and then discover that because the mission was designed with Lance Bass's inclusion in mind, it was built to accommodate his weight.
Right, because
And
in
when it
space
was
travel,
found out
the
he would
weight
not-
it has to be incredibly specific. You have to make sure everything is calculated out.
So there is a barrel out there somewhere in Russia that weighs the exact same amount as Lance Bass. In that episode of My Brother, and Me, Griffin expressed his intention to acquire it for their podcast. Shelby, are you ready to start a feud?
I'm so ready to start a feud, but you did not explain why couldn't he go to space.
Oh, it was discovered that he had arrhythmia because of a medical check
Yes.
done by the cosmonaut program, which was fixed and his life was saved. So if he had not done cosmonaut training, Lance Bass would be dead, which is unfortunate because he is also a champion of gay rights, by the way. This is, in fact, a singer, podcaster, astronaut,
And gay rights advocate.
gay rights advocate, Sephiroth.
The ultimate boy band with a life-saving barrel that I do believe we need to acquire.
Yes, we're going to get it before the McElroys do.
I love it. So we're creating kind of an Indiana Jones kind of search for an artifact, and we're gonna get it first, and we're a red dotted line on a map, and we're looking for it. We're gonna go to Russia.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna be outside the temple, and Griffin's gonna be like, "So, Mystery Shack, look back once again. What was once
Oh my
yours
god,
is
I'm
now
imagining
mine."
Griffin dressed with the little hat and the glasses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
And then they open the barrel, and their faces melt off.
So once we have that barrel, we'll have like people come over, guests, and they'll be like, "Is that just a barrel?" And we'll be like, "Not just a barrel.
It is-
Weigh it." And they pop it on a scale, and they're like, "Is that?"
It
We're
is.
like,
Yeah.
It's
We're
exactly...
gonna put it on the center of the coffee table. It will be a conversation starter every time
This
someone
barrel,
comes over.
It's not just any barrel. This barrel weighs the exact amount as Lance Bass.
But then, okay, so Ella, you are an amazing artist. I think you're going to have to decorate this barrel to look like Lance Bass. So not only is it the Lance Bass...
On the one hand, I do, but on the other hand, it's such an important historical
That's
artifact.
true.
I feel like I shouldn't even mess with it.
We put a glass case over it to protect it because it is an important artifact. And on the glass case, you decorate it to look
Okay,
like
there we
Lance
go.
Bass.
I could also make like a slip over barrel cosplay that looks like Deep Chris.
I was gonna say that you could put the real barrel somewhere else and then have the barrel in a barrel in a glass case, so when the McElroys take it Mission Impossible style, the alarms will blare and we'll come out like, "You thought that was the real barrel?"
Then we remove the Deep Chris cosplay and it's like, haha, it was here all along.
I can't believe we tricked them into stealing the barrel that weighs the exact same amount as Chris Kirkpatrick.
Or somebody from Backstreet Boys.
This is they stole the Nick Carter barrel.
Oh, you fool.
But you should have known it was the Nick Carter barrel because there was a tiny Aaron Carter barrel right next to it.
Of course. So this episode was inspired very directly by Ariel Hirsch, Alex Hirsch's twin sister, her obsession with all 3 major boy bands in the 90s when they were in middle school. So
98
that's
Degrees,
NSYNC.
NSYNC, and Backstreet Boys. She had a poster for all 3, and Alex didn't understand how she had enough love in her heart for...
Because it, like, from his perspective, all of these were clearly, manufactured, and he didn't understand that there was any real difference between them. Very, very similar to kind of, like, it feels to me like the kid version of, like, political disillusionment of, like, oh, all these political parties are the same. They're all funded by the same dark money. Like,
I'm kind of I still don't know which one is which. I didn't in 98 and I don't now.
Well, okay, here's what I will tell you. So Lance Bass and his husband, around the time that this podcast released, just had their first kid. Congratulations. And
Woo.
One of the members of Backstreet Boys recently tweeted that the people who stormed the Capitol are heroes. So there is a correct answer in the TRL.
In the which band is better, yeah.
Yes. So, but yes, the scheme that their manager, first Lou Pearlman made Backstreet Boys, and he was like, how do I make more money from this? So his idea was to create NSYNC and set up a fake feud between the two, so fans would buy merch or albums to try to...
Yeah, very, very, Palpatine playing both sides of the Clone Wars vibes.
I always assumed that the second set of clones in the barrel was to replace the first set of clones, but what if he was making an alternate rival band for that exact purpose?
Yeah, that's the thing, because that's where that aspect of the episode comes from, because it is...
I mean, I knew that, but I always thought so up until this moment, right now, at 2:26 p.m., on the day we're recording this, I always assumed that he just, like, when this one is too old, he just switched it out with the new young one, which I thought that was the joke, because that's kind of what the Bob's Burger joke was.
Well, yeah, the line is that he does say you can always be replaced.
But no.
But I like the idea that he also creates rivals.
Yeah, he's just making a second band.
And that is basically what this is about, is NSYNC was... in a more metaphorical aspect, a clone. It was the manager of Backstreet Boys creating a near-identical band to pit them against each other. That is largely what the MTV show Total Request Live, or TRL, was about, is who is better, Backstreet or NSYNC. And, Lou Pearlman, beyond that, because that is a bunch of capitalist nonsense, but it is legal. It is above board.
Yeah, so Lou Pearlman was not only the record producer behind both the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, but was later arrested for running the longest Ponzi scheme, which is investment fraud, in U.S. history. It is largely believed that it still is the biggest Ponzi scheme ever pulled in U.S. history.
So it is canon that he is the scum of the earth.
Yeah, and I was
Yes.
just watching the documentary about him, and there are people who are, like, confused, because it's like, if you're making the majority of the money from NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, and Aaron Carter, why would you ever need to do something
Why would
illegal
he
to
need
make
a
more
You're
money?
You're suggesting that a capitalist will one day just say, I have enough money.
I wish!
But no, here's also the thing. If you're gonna make money off of exploiting, 13 guys, why wouldn't you try to exploit more people? It just makes sense, really.
That's true. But he also was sued by nearly all of the acts he produced for various claims of misrepresentation and fraud.
So that's why he had to do the Ponzi scheme, so he could pay for those... Got it.
Yeah, he had to commit other frauds to pay the legal fees for the first frauds. But that all manifests in this episode in the character Ergman Bratzman, who is the producer of Sev'ral Timez. And he's voiced by Ken Hudson Campbell, who is best known for Herman's Head.
Herman's Head, by the way, is a sitcom that Inside Out plagiarized, for those too young to know.
Yes, that's true. It's an interesting choice. I like it. He has a few lines that make him feel Gravity Fallsy, but outside of that, I always think about him and like, oh, he doesn't feel like part of this universe, which he kind of isn't. He's kind of just Lou Pearlman.
He's also clearly supposed to look like him.
Yeah. It's very specific.
Do you think that the clones that he made are clones of himself that he genetically engineered to be auto-tuned singers?
Yeah, do you think he used to look like that?
Yeah!
Maybe that's his younger self. Oh, is he one of the clones?
Oh!
The clone daddy.
Because it's been going on since, like, if we say that he's been running this grift since the 90s, you know, this show takes place in the 2010s.
Oh,
so
he did
maybe...
not age well then if he is a clone.
Maybe he's from the 60s. Maybe he's from this universe's monkeys or whatever.
Whoa, wait! What if he is the 60s guy from the 70s, the 60s guy from the 70s that stole Stan's girlfriend?
Oh, that Carla Hot Pants McCorkle left it!
maybe. We're busting this wide open. On the other hand, I know that it seems like, also like in Star Wars, the clones have an accelerated aging process because, you know, that way growing them doesn't take as long. So it could be that he's either...
He could be 1 year old.
Yeah.
He is a single years old.
So, in the tank, there is a younger clone that he says he can use to replace them. It is clearly supposed to resemble Aaron Carter, the younger brother of Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, who was a solo act also managed by Perlman. And when he gestures to it, while in cryosis, it does the dance from the Bye 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 music video.
Which is amazing.
Sorry, I just noticed the little chubby baby with the bearded goatee. Like, I had
the
never
Chubby
seen
Z
that
baby.
one until this
Chin
watch.
strap
There's a lot of
baby.
good background in this episode that because Disney Plus is giving it in the highest quality I've ever seen, I didn't notice that, like, in Mabel's Shrine to Several Times, there are these little dolls or action figures of Several Times that are very funny, and all of her memorabilia.
The shrine which she definitely used the bottom of Dipper's bed to make
I wonder if that's also based on Alex and Ariel.
would definitely make sense.
He did say that she had a pig shrine.
Yeah, so making shrines is very in character. And it was on top of referencing their respective opinions on the boy band craze. This episode basically just exists so that Ariel Hirsch can meet Lance Bass.
Yes, Ariel has one line in the episode during the Several Times concert.
He was talking to me!
That was Alex Hirsch's twin sister, Ariel Hirsch. The whole function of this episode was getting her to the voice booth for that one line, getting Lance Bass to the voice booth for Deep Chris, getting their sessions to have a little bit of overlap so one would have to wait for the other, and then we will post it to our Instagram and on Twitter and in our Discord, which you can find on pipedreampodcasts.com. This episode exists for a photo op, and here's that photo.
It's really, it's very, very sweet. It warms my heart to think about, because so much of Mabel is like Alex lighthearted teasing of his sister, but then this is like, let me use my pull as like a showrunner to have my sister meet one of her idols, and that is really sweet.
I love that Lanston was on board, because these jokes are hypothetically mean towards him.
Charlie, you know his name's not really Lanston, right? That's made up. That's fake.
But it's an in joke. His fans know him as Lanston because
It's an end joke.
yeah, it's an end joke. No, but his delivery is so good in this, and I love just how on board he was to make fun of, you know, his claim to fame.
Right, yeah. Well, you said on his Cameo page, he describes himself as a Frosted Tips survivor, so he clearly has a sense of humor about the whole thing.
Yeah. There's also a great TikTok he did in which he tries to pull a prank on all of the members of NSYNC by FaceTiming them and then acting like they called him and saying, yeah, I can't really talk now. And the punchline is he tries to call Justin Timberlake and do this prank, and he doesn't pick up. And he's like, ah!
He's got great timing.
His TikTok is amazing. By the way, go follow Lance Bass on TikTok. It might be one of the best TikToks out there.
Yeah. Next to Shelby.
No, his is better.
There's a great one where there is a black gentleman who is talking about how he is the president of the black chapter of the Lance Bass fan club, and Lance duets it and is just silently doing prop comedy. So whenever he references like an outrageous claim like that, Lance will hold up a certificate or a trophy with this guy's name on it.
Amazing.
That's so...
He's so on board for anything.
It's
I know,
adorable.
he's so funny. I also found out his husband is a huge NSYNC fan, which feels like an understatement.
Yeah, it feels like that is the dream of so many people that they are now living.
Imagine a bunch of NSYNC fans getting together and bragging about the merchandise they own, and Lance's husband being like, I own 50% of all of Lance Bass's belongings. And they're all like, God damn it, we should stop inviting him.
Can you just imagine, though, if he was not a fan of the band, if they're just like, what do you think of your husband's old band? He's like, it's all right, I guess. Like,
I remember one of the top comments on Lance Bass TikTok was, are we queer because we were Lance Bass fans, or were we Lance Bass fans because we were queer? And I think Lance replied like, both is good or something like that.
I think it's that scene in Community where the dean is watching the Dalmatian video and he just says, I hope this doesn't awaken something in me.
So that's just them watching any NSYNC music video.
Like, huh.
Speaking of which, they get the style of that whole era of music so on point
well.
throughout this episode.
Which is great because I'm pretty sure Matt Chapman wrote a lot of these songs. And Matt was like in high school and college when when 90s boy bands were popular. Like, it's impressive that he is able to write these jokes with this much accuracy.
Yeah, we also get at the end of some of their songs they shout, "We're non-threatening," which might be an Alex addition, because there is a joke in The Simpsons about Lisa reading Non-Threatening Boys magazine, which is referencing the same era of
And Non-Threatening Boys magazine is about boy bands.
Yeah, I love when Mabel starts getting very possessive of the band staying at the shack, just going very like
feral, almost.
Boys, like the line where she just grunts boys. I'm like, yeah, same girl.
It could possibly be a regular segment on this show where I point out the parallels to Homestar Runner with episodes Matt Chapman wrote.
It's very strong here, though, because this was all his teleplay that Alex had to cut down.
Very concentrated Matt Chapman.
Literally, Matt Chapman from Concentrate.
No fault.
Alex had to condense 44 minutes of Matt Chapman into 22 minutes.
Got 100% more Matt Chapman than most episodes.
200%.
Yeah.
So let me just run some of these by here. In Spemail 150 Alternate Universe, Strong Bad ends a song by saying
2005. I'm in 6.
Which parallels the boy band at 2 different points in this episode shout
2013.
In Spemail Long Pants, hot pants is used as a slang for Daisy Dukes.
So you put on hot pants.
Carla's hot pants turned into bell bottoms before I even knew what happened.
Sev'ral and Timez are words that show up a lot in Homestar. It's one of those things that Matt finds funny and uses as much as possible. The most notable examples being from the Teen Girl Squad Valentine's special.
What are we going to get? Several boys! How many times am I gonna love ya? Several times!
And from Spemail Animal.
Do you know the times?
I also just love the use of the word several. Because, like, at this point, like, most people are like, yeah, lots, but several is such an antiquated word.
It's not it's not a catchy or cool sounding word.
And then last one, Stan attempts to play a CD by putting it on a record player and isn't sure why it isn't working.
If you want to hear the mind-controlling messages, you gotta slow down the record. Give me that LP.
In Spemail Road Trip, Strong Bad jams a CD into an 8-track player.
Now let's put it in and crank it up. No, just force it in there. I'm sure that thing's forwards compatible.
There's something very funny about putting CDs where CDs do not belong.
Matt won't stop using that joke, and I keep waiting for the moment where it gets old, and I'm like, huh.
Yeah. So that brings us to the B-plot of the episode, which you're not going to believe this, guys. It's a Dipper having a crush on Wendy plot.
Oh, whoa.
What?
Unheard of.
Yeah, so in this episode, Dipper believes that Robbie is somehow brainwashing Wendy with a CD of his music because she almost broke up with him but didn't when he played this song that he wrote for her. So he wants to get to the bottom of it because he's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
Just a question. Do we ever hear Robbie really sing any other times.
Yeah, because in Fight Fighters, he sings the
Wendy!
seminal hit, Wendy! Come on out, girl! Come on down!
Which doesn't sound a whole lot. I mean, like, of course it's the same voice actor, but we established that the CD has his voice on it later, but he's singing to it quote-unquote live. What if he just found someone who sounds a lot like him and lip-synced to that?
Oh, he just found a sound alike.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So he didn't
Maybe.
even...
He got the guy who replaced him in How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Dragon 3, yeah.
I love that Jason Mantzoukas now plays, like, most of the roles that TJ Miller would have played, so I just wanted to be Jason Mantzoukas singing. He got a Jason Mantzoukas song, yeah.
All right, that's a good headcanon. So the best part of this B-plot is undeniably Grunkle Stan. He gets to help Dipper get to the bottom of it because of his own emotional baggage with music stealing one of his girlfriends. We meet Carla Hot Pants McCorkle.
Yes, he has had a partner stolen by a musician before, as well as just likes inconveniencing or hurting teenagers.
Yeah, which is always a good time. Sorry, 1 second. I'm gonna go turn the light on in this room.
Shelby,
Charlie.
let's stage a coup.
Okay.
Let's kick her off the podcast. It's all yours now.
Okay, I've got a lot of clones.
So I love...
Welcome back! We missed you.
We love you so much, Ella. We would never replace you.
Well, oh, thank you. So this is our third Carla, possibly, because we've gotten Carla, I've always loved you, but I've never had the guts to say it, from Hand That Rocks the Mabel.
Mhm.
We got Carla, the Vanna White sort of role on Cash Wheel in Boss Mabel, and now we have Carla Hot Pants McCorkle. And it's not really, we don't know, are these the same Carlas? We're not sure.
I think it could possibly be the same Carla. She just changed her hair up.
I also think Alex just thinks Carla is a funny name. Carla's hot pants turned into bell bottoms before I even knew what happened is a great line.
The animation with it is beautiful.
Yeah. It's very beautiful. It's like a very Cinderella transformation sequence into bell bottoms.
He said his memories of the 70s get a little hallucination-y. Why do you think that is, guys?
I couldn't
no
say.
reason.
It's
Yeah.
just
No
because
one's
he's
really
old.
sure. It's just one of those great Gravity Falls mysteries,
Definitely.
I think.
Yeah, and I love that he gets the personality in this episode of like an AM radio listening apocalypse prepper because he's just stocking cans of the brown meat for some vague apocalypse and tells Robbie to bury gold, and it's like I love that they could just decide that Grunkle Stan is a like conservative Alex Jones listener and he doesn't suddenly become unlikable.
Yeah, I mean, those jokes, they probably wouldn't have written them in...
In 2021, probably not.
Well, the thing is, I mean, when, Obama did 8 years, 2 terms, the way we talked about his competitors was like, about how they lost. Like, we viewed them as pathetic, so there wasn't anything scary about teasing their viewpoints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now we've been through that apocalypse.
I think we're arguably still in it, but that's neither here nor there.
It's just a little bit less nightmarish.
There's his I guess it kind of ties into his belief that there are subliminal messages in all music, but what I like is that the way they write it is like, well, first off, fantastic joke. One of my favorite jokes possibly in the whole show is if you listen closely, even the music I play in the gift shop has subtle, hidden messages.
And then it has Stan...
Buy more keychains!
It has Stan screaming so loudly to buy keychains mixed into the music that the sound of it makes people fall over.
This guy getting into the, like, fetal position. It's so good.
Yeah. He's my favorite tourist. He's the guy who goes,
with the bobblehead, yeah.
Yeah, he's very sweaty. It feels to me like this meta shout out to the audience where Stan is like saying, yeah, music has subliminal messages hidden in it all the time. And of course, by now, pretty much all of the fans have noticed that.
That's how you translate the cryptograms. You have to listen to the theme song backwards to
right, exactly.
hear the key.
So I'm not sure. It feels like it's either like a way of like, if you've come this far without noticing, we'll give this one to you for free. Or it's like, we know that you know, so we're just gonna reference it here.
Also, it is referencing, much like stocking for the apocalypse, it is a old man thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a popular belief in the 60s and 50s that all rock and roll had subliminal messaging in it.
Gee, I wonder why people thought rock and roll was evil.
Well, it's really unclear. No one can really remember at this point.
Who can say?
It gets a little hallucination-y.
But yeah, there's a lot of popular urban legends about I Buried Paul.
Yeah. Revolution number 9 being a lot of them. Oh boy.
I went down that rabbit hole the other day, just the Beatles one specifically.
If you start listening to Beatles music backwards, you probably won't start a murder cult.
No, we don't have to get into creepy stalkerish men. We can just talk about Dipper Pines.
Hey, wait a second.
So Dipper,
Dipper sucks in this one.
Dipper's super insensitive in this episode, and I think there is an appropriate dressing down of that behavior. It is almost like taking what was established in Fight Fighters, where they're like, all right, we're just going to have this silent rivalry. Wendy will be our prize. And then it's deconstructing that, because it's like, actually, Wendy is a human person with feelings, and you can't, the fact that she's not a piece of jewelry. Like, once it's off one person, it can have another bearer. She needs a second to recover from a breakup. It's like he's justifying it to himself as like, oh, well, if Wendy's getting brainwashed, I have to save her. But it's like, this is the hardest one to justify. There are moments where Dipper is more justified in, doing whatever he's doing for Wendy's sake. And then this is the one where it's, the loosest of, you are just...
He's violating a boundary. I can imagine Wendy, by the end of this episode, feels very violated because she doesn't know, was I under mind control or was he just a...
Well, she doesn't even care. That's the thing. Dipper doesn't understand the emotions of a teenager on that level and just thinks, well, I saved your life, and according to video games, that means you give me a kiss on the cheek. That's the thing is the way he is. So showing her that she is being manipulated is a kindness, but he's not doing it for her.
Yep.
No, he is expecting a reward.
And I wonder how much of that, though, is Stan and Dipper's insecurities about women feeding into each other.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, Stan literally says, this is a victory for every guy whose hands can't play musical instruments. Stan is bringing all of his baggage into it, and Dipper is allowing that to happen because it feeds into his baggage.
Also, Stan says that his hands were too fat to play a musical instrument. Meanwhile, Seuss, with fatter hands, is a musical prodigy.
Yeah, I think it's just people making up excuses for...
Oh, wait, the keyboards.
Yeah, Seuss is great at the
keyboard.
keyboard.
I was thinking about Seuss playing the trumpet in Dipper's Fantasy.
Maybe let's say Seuss actually knows how to play a trumpet. That's never been confirmed or denied.
Yeah, let's headcanon that. But yeah,
Seuss is a prodigy. Seuss is great.
Have you seen any perfect boys around here?
Only when I look at the mirror up top.
So Seuss congratulates Gompers for eating the license plate. Does Seuss hate being left hanging that much that when someone refuses to high five him, he's like,
"Oh, is it?" I thought it was just because Bratzman is mean, but Seuss doesn't really have it in him to be mean back, so he's sicking Gompers on him.
Usually Seuss doesn't seem to really care when people are mean to him. This is the one moment where he's like...
So you think it's exclusively about the high five?
I don't know what it is about Erkman Bratzman that this is the first time Seuss is like, I cannot be friends with this person. Because that hasn't happened. Seuss has never been like, we'll be mean to this person.
See, I just thought he was proud of Gompers for getting something nice. He's like, you got a nice thing. Look at you go, my friend.
Got a nice license plate. Yeah. All right, fair enough. Maybe he doesn't have anything against Erkman Bratzman.
A lot of the time, whenever Dipper is doing a Wendy pursuit thing, his partner in crime with it is Mabel, who grounds him a lot and does bring that empathy into it.
Right, yeah. Stan is bringing out all the worst, qualities of him. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I think the level of insensitivity that Dipper displays in this episode specifically corresponds to the fact that Mabel is having her own thing. And Dipper helps Mabel rein in any for lack of a better word, more selfish tendencies, and he's not there.
Yeah, it's interesting that they don't have each other in this episode, and they both completely
go off the deep end.
Overboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was 2 episodes ago.
You're right. Peas.
Yeah, and I think it ends in a decent place because we know that neither Dipper or Stan really have any friends.
Yeah, last week we were just yelling at Dipper to get friends.
Yeah, But the fact that they have both completely ruined this night kind of brings them together.
And then after Wendy stormed off and Dipper was really sad that he had hurt Wendy, that was when Stan moved Robbie out of the driver's seat, turned the key in the ignition, and drove the car off the cliff.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was referring to
I always thought he did that
Carla's
to
new
the hippie
boyfriend?
as well, to like
It
her
could be
hippie boyfriend.
both.
Maybe he was reliving his glory days of just
But I love that all of the tension had been resolved at the point where Stan would have had the opportunity. So like Robbie was really upset he was broken up with. Dipper was really upset he accidentally hurt Wendy. Everyone was just like sitting contemplating their actions, and Stan was like, all right, if no one else is gonna do anything.
Yeah, and even though Robbie's aesthetic is clearly not that of a hippie, I would believe that Stan would just look at a goth kid and go, I don't know, some kind of hippie.
Counterculture based on music.
Yeah, it's all the same to him.
yeah. I mean that sounds like something my dad would say. Would just be like, oh, some hippie. Like that is not. Nope. That one. We don't say that anymore. Two. That's not what's going on at all.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wait. You know why this episode Stan is slightly more conservative than in other episodes?
Why is that?
Because Matt's from
Georgia?
Atlanta, and
Yeah.
Matt's from Georgia, and Alex is from the Bay Area.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense because that is Southern conservatism in a nutshell.
Right.
Yeah.
So he is so Stan is a Southern conservative in this one, and is a secular hippie from the Bay Area, as Alex
In most
described his
episodes,
parents in Everything's Coming Up. Everything's Coming Up podcast. What is it called?
Well, it used to be called Everything's Coming Up podcast. Now it's called Everything's Coming Up Simpsons.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good podcast either way.
Yeah, it's a great podcast. I think it's really interesting when you pair Stan off with the twins, how it's a different reaction, because I feel like Mabel and Stan
Right.
like feed off each other in a very chaotic way, and it's always like really fun energy. But when Stan and Dipper are feeding off each other, it's just like the worst possible thing.
Yeah, because Mabel tries to bring out the best in Stan, and Dipper isn't really focused enough on that. He's focused way too inward to try to improve Stan.
Mm-hmm.
So he allows Stan to ruin him. He allows Stan to make him worse.
That's just true that Dipper is too focused inward to help Stan. It's funny that people call Mabel a selfish one, huh?
Yeah, because Dipper is super selfish in this episode. He doesn't even have evidence that Wendy is being manipulated. He is looking for a reason to break them up.
I guess both Dipper and Mabel go through they're selfish at first and then realize they did something wrong in this one.
And I think that that's just part of being a kid. I also think that it's part of being a neurodivergent kid, because a lot of times people with like ADHD and other neurodivergent, like a lot of them will get told you're being very selfish because they're thinking so far inwardly. But a lot of times it's also like, all I think about is helping other people and doing these other things. But you get to the point where it's like you're thinking so much of other people, like for other people, doing things for other people, that it comes across as a selfish act. And it's funny because like I'm only getting, like I was diagnosed with ADHD last year, 30 years into being a human. So like noticing those things now and realizing that is those things that I'm seeing in the characters and realizing, oh yeah, I did. That's what I resonated with when I was watching this. Oh, I should have realized a lot sooner that these were truths about me.
Mm-hmm.
Almost in the same way that we have talked about Dipper and dealing with masculinity and figuring out gender is like, they're resonating now because we've realized this. And at the time, it was clicking in a way we didn't recognize.
What a trans podcast we have.
I've literally had that conversation about how I should have realized I was non-binary because Dipper was my comfort character. I felt more myself dressed as Anna from Frozen and Dipper from Gravity Falls than I do dressed like myself, which is just a very weird thing.
So ultimately, Mabel, realizing her side of the parallel of this episode, realizes she cannot hang on to Sev'ral Timez forever. She has to set them free into the big green mess, as they called it, the outside world.
That's nature.
And then they just become these feral, beautiful men who eat out of trash cans.
Yeah, they kind of act like raccoons, but they're also like supermodel attractive human men.
Which is a fantastic setup for comedy.
It's a good expectations versus reality kind of thing. I also love the cryptid walk, the very Harry and the Hendersons Sasquatch walk on the way out.
It ends with a reference to Harry and the Hendersons where she demands that they get out and walk to the woods and starts crying and hitting them to get rid of them.
Because they're not portrayed as stupid or superficial.
No.
They just don't know any better. They're just little feral boys.
It's such a Matt Chapman way of writing. They're all basically Homestar Runner if Homestar was more attractive and...
Oh, you're right!
What are you talking about?
If
Homestar is model
was
attractive.
Considered by everyone to be...
Well, I mean, I guess I'm biased because I'm married to Homestar.
Yes.
So...
who looks very similar to him.
Possibly a clone? The deep Chris of the
maybe.
Homestar Runner universe is Homestar.
Oh, maybe you're right. I'm not threatening.
We better be careful talking about conspiracies in this room because there are actually zoning restrictions.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's
you're right.
right.
The floor.
Yeah, this part of the building is not up to code to talk about conspiracies.
Okay.
So if we're going to do that, the super is going to want us to move into the hall.
Okay, that makes sense.
So let's go do that.
All right, I'll follow you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, right this way to the Hall of Conspiracy!
Please release that cut.
This one was submitted to the Gravity Falls subreddit by high_stream, and they write, something I noticed in Boyz Crazy, possible spoilers. I noticed that while Stan is prepping for an apocalypse, the boy band is constantly reminding us that it is 2013. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but noting the date will clarify for people watching the show later that Stan is not preparing for either the Mayan 2012 or the 2000 apocalypse, Y2K. What apocalypse he is preparing for, only time can tell. And 2013 and Bratzman's license plate
which also has 2013 on it.
Clash with the bottomless pit tax form, which says 2012. But as we discussed, it doesn't because you get a 2012 tax form in 2013.
Yeah.
So it's heightening the confusion of what year this show exactly takes place in.
But I will also point out, shouting 2013 is a reference to another script that Matt wrote in which someone got the year wrong.
Yeah, so yeah, it is still pretty ambiguous, at least in my opinion, at this point, whether it takes place in 2013 or 2012.
Time is an illusion anyway, so...
We gotta give some context to this next one.
All right.
Stan in the flashback with Carla Hot Pants McCorkle is a different character design than the younger Stan that they run past in Time Traveler's Pig.
Correct. So this comes to us from u/_that_1_guy_.
Oh, that one guy?
Underscores. Yeah. No, that _1_guy_.
You forgot the first underscore.
Underscore.
Okay. So this is also on the Gravity Falls subreddit, a theory on the two different flashback Stans, quote unquote. Could it be that Stan's flashback self in Boyz Crazy looked different simply because that's how he imagined himself to look? What I mean is maybe the two flashbacks are both him, but since this one was a memory as opposed to time travel, he tweaked his image to lose the butt chin, the cleft chin, along with giving himself overall better looks.
Or it was plastic surgery.
Maybe.
Okay. Interesting.
Because this is again going back to the Time Traveler's Pig when Dipper and Mabel travel to the Mystery Shack all covered in snow, and then somebody pops out looking like a younger Grunkle Stan.
Possibly older Dipper?
Possibly older Dipper, yeah. That is the other theory here.
Some, as of last week's episode...
Oh, no, well, we're getting to that in this next comment. Did you want to read that?
Me?
Yeah.
Or Shelby?
I don't have anything in front of me. I can make something up right now if you want.
All right, yeah, go for it.
All right, so Yahoo user John_the_Maverick_ asks, did anybody realize that Deep Chris has really nice hair?
All right.
Good theory.
That wasn't even funny. I can't stop. Okay, yes. What can I do?
So this is a comment responding to that thread about the two different flashback stands.
And then read the username and say it.
So, Reddit user Epic364 8 years ago responded with...
So there's one day a year where you're not Epic.
Epic364 8 years ago said, maybe it is Grunkle Stan's brother, and maybe since the body swap carpet was stashed with what would appear to be his room, he and Grunkle Stan were actually body swapped, making Grunkle Stan really Stanley on the inside. But probably not.
So here we are taking not only from the Time Traveler's Pig, but also from Carpe Diem, last week's episode.
That's a good one.
Also in the Gravity Falls subreddit, u/the writes, Robbie's ambiguous explanation for his mind control. In the Boyz Crazy episode, it concludes with Stan and Dipper, pretty much entirely Dipper.
That's true, because we did not mention that Dipper, by himself, converts Robbie's CD into a record.
And is wearing a surgical mask to do so.
Ahead of his time.
I think that has to do with the chemical process, but it's also just the fact that Stan was helping him until he had to convert it to a record. And then he was like, I'm checked out. I'm going to go to sleep.
He had to change out of his suit and back into his
boxers and his undershirt, yeah. Uncovering the hidden message in the song that Robbie gave to Wendy that caused an unnatural infatuation with him. When Dipper calls Robbie out on this, Robbie admits through anger that it is true and that he ripped it off. But there is never any clear explanation behind the song. Is it any more significant, or just a tool to move the plot of the episode along? Theories and input are readily welcomed.
That's what we're here to talk about.
Redditly welcomed.
Redditly welcomed. So, I remember back in 2012, in order to get cool stuff off the internet, this was way after LimeWire, I would go and literally download YouTube videos. So what if he downloaded as an MP3 a YouTube video and then converted it to CD, and then later it was converted into record, and then later into tape?
Yeah, you're right, because Dipper recorded the record audio onto a tape recorder.
Yeah.
So, just Ed _233, a lot of underscores today. Good job, guys. Says that Robbie clearly knows there is magic stuff in Gravity Falls, but he doesn't seem to understand the powers he's meddling with. This is a recipe for disaster, because we see when Robbie takes out the CD, it's got this very strange occult-looking CD case, and he also says, I hope this works. So, just Ed _ here is...
Well, it was because he ripped it from YouTube and then put it on the CD and he hadn't tested it yet. Normally, you'd have to take it out to your car to test it. That's how I remember CD ripping going.
Yep.
Nothing.
So he either hopes that the CD itself plays, or he does not yet understand how the magic in Gravity Falls works.
And then, he's hoping his lip sync pulls off perfectly.
Yeah.
And then the Bill Illuminati replies, indeed, he could know more than he lets on. He could not. Ugh, this show really knows how to get people thinking.
No, that was not said with disgust.
Was the Bill Illuminati asking and answering the question?
No, someone replied to the Bill Illuminati, and then they replied to that reply.
Okay, I thought they were just
pointing
replying.
out how conducive to theories this show is, which is true.
So, very warm-looking Reddit user, Rock Summer, 8 years ago, asked...
Rock
Sunner.
Oh, that's why he's not a Rock Summer, which is why he's in a coat. Rock Sunner, 8 years ago, asked, there's a Gideon/zombie link people often overlook. Zombie attack, that never works. They don't follow orders.
That was from Little Dipper, true believers.
This sounds like the voice of personal experience. Suppose Gideon did attempt a zombie attack to get at Stan and created Robbie as a zombie. A mind-controlling CD, found or created using Book 2, could have been part of it. But Robbie failed to follow orders and used the CD for his own purposes instead. There are 4 upvotes.
There sure are, huh?
So piggybacking off of the existing theory that Robbie is a zombie, maybe this is all connected through Gideon.
Rob Zombie.
So, a separate thread, also on the subreddit, u/flipdatswitch, posted about Robbie's song. So for anyone who's watched the Boyz Crazy episode, what are people's theories on Robbie's mind control song? Where could he have made something like that? My theory is that the same people who made, they say Subject 78, but actually it was Experiment 78, the electron carpet from the previous episode. So their theory is that the same people who made that made the disc, and maybe Robbie is a part of that group. And did anyone else notice the similarity in the electricity given off from the CD when they put it on the record player and the carpet? I know it's just generic electricity, but still.
Isn't Generic Electricity the company that bought NBC around this time?
I think that was General Electricity, but I think what they're actually talking about is
they're
static
synonyms.
electricity, because that's what you get from carpets and like little tiny shocks. General Electricity is a little bigger. It's like when you stick your tongue in a outlet, which I don't recommend.
No. We here at Mystery Shack Look Back are against sticking your tongue in an outlet.
You know, lots of too many podcasts are too afraid to take a stance on this issue. We are firmly anti sticking your tongue in an electrical socket.
Kids, even if the older kids at your babysitter tells you to do it, don't do it. It's not safe.
Joe Rogan wants you to put your tongue in an electrical outlet.
I want Joe Rogan to put his tongue in an electrical outlet.
But we're supposed to be anti putting your tongue in an electrical outlet.
Except unless you're
right.
Joe Rogan.
The hypocrisy of the tolerant
listen,
left.
only Joe Rogan is allowed to do that, kids.
So much for the tolerant
We
left.
never said anything about a fork.
So there are many replies to this other thread about the song.
Like Bruce Springsteen, perfect, because I'm the New Jersey one, replies, I think Robbie has book 1, Gideon has book 2, and Dipper has book 3.
Tangelo84 says, I don't think Robbie has book 1. The way he said, I hope this works before playing it made it sound like he was unsure if he had the real deal. I think the owner of book 1 would know all about magic stuff, see Gideon, and Robbie didn't seem to know precisely what he had. If it was magical in nature, of course.
And Ladamu333 replies, he may have recently acquired the book, or maybe he stole it from the original owner.
Ooh, 2 upvotes.
And then Flip That Switch replies, but I don't think Robbie is the smartest of people. He could have the book, but still be skeptical of its content.
And Tangelo84 replies, if that's the case, he has proof now. Oh dear. So Tangelo84 says, for those of you who have seen this coded message...
There's a secret society in Gravity Falls.
Oh wait, does this person have an accent? For those of y'all who seen this coded message, I reckon Robbie is connected to that secret society in some manner, and he got the CD from someone in it. This secret society could also be behind Subject 78. Maybe Gideon runs a cult in his tent on full moons and they make some weird magic stuff? Just a guess.
Thank you, Applejack.
I will reread that not in a country accent, but...
No, don't. Nope, no. Don't even offer us more options, Shelby. You nailed it.
And so Flame the Hedgehog responds, maybe whoever has a book has to be in the secret society, and Dipper just doesn't know it. So that by having one of the journals, you are in the secret society.
And he doesn't know it because it's so secret.
The cryptogram in this episode translates to Happy Now, Ariel, to which Ariel did screenshot that translated cryptogram and put it on her Tumblr and say, yes.
It's very sweet. I know I've gushed about that already, but it's...
I know, they gave her the pig she wanted, they made her best friends with Lance Bass, they're fulfilling all her 12-year-old fantasies through Mabel.
Through a cartoon, which is one of the main reasons he even wanted to make the cartoon in the first place.
Yeah, what hooked me on the show was, 1, the conspiracy theories, and 2, just like how much of it was a love letter to his sister, and like how it's just, this is what childhood could have been if we were cartoons, and I love that so much.
Right, because it's when he was being asked to pitch a show, he needed an idea that he could have the energy for, like, have the longevity to continue to write for, and he knew that he would never run out of energy or ideas for writing about his sister.
And Shelby and Ella, I have something very exciting to announce.
Yes, you found the Lance Bass barrel?
No, but in the spirit of Matt Chapman's writing process for this episode, the podcast episode covering it is now our longest record yet.
Awesome.
Yes, in honor of Matt.
I'm not surprised because the three of us together are just...
Finally, Boyz Crazy the movie is real.
Yes!
Yeah. We release the Chapman cut.
Release the Chapman cut! Hashtag release the Chapman cut.
Release the
Everyone
Chapman
out there,
cut.
maybe actually let's not encourage they tweet at Strongbad and Alex about this.
No, don't.
No, but just like the Snyder cut, they are asking for something that does not exist, so they will have to make it and then release it.
So here's the thing. The Strong Bad Twitter is just Strong Bad, so I don't know if Strong Bad would understand.
Well, yeah, Strong Bad has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, Strong Bad has nothing to do with it, and Alex is...
Strongbad got paid to voice Mermondo and then got fired.
Well, yeah, but this isn't about that.
Then maybe he doesn't really have the best relationship with.
So
the crew.
don't tweet at them, but do tweet. Release the Chapman cut.
Yeah, don't clog people's mentions. Just use the
hashtag. Yeah.
And if you want to find more episodes of this podcast, go to our host network, pipedreampodcasts.com, where you can find other shows like Escape from Walt Disney, How Did This Not Get Made, and Come On Fahookwapods.
This episode was basically an honorary Come On
Pretty
Fahookwapods.
much.
All three of us have been in Come On Fahookwapods at some point or another. I recommend you check out the episode Marzipan, featuring Shelby in a little voice cameo as Marzipan.
That was fun.
So while you're on pipedreampodcast.com, you can find links to our show's social medias and our Discord server, and you can contact us at mysteryshacklookback@gmail.com if you have any stories like what Shelby was talking about when we introduced her with all the cosplay stories, and anything like that. We would love to share and add to our museum of the Gravity Falls fandom.
Thanks to Kyle Wright, at Kyle Wright Music on Twitter, for making the vocals of our theme song today. That was freaking amazing. Thank you, Kyle.
An angel.
And thank you to Simon the Dim Bulb V2-0 for making the instrumental of that theme song, which... perfection, as always.
Thanks to Brian for voicing Stan in the Hall of Conspiracies intro.
And Adam New, we want to thank you as well for removing our slobbery spit from this podcast.
And thank you, Shelby, for coming on to speak with us.
Thank you for coming, Shelby!
Anytime! I love you too! Oh my god!
Because of how much you've helped with this show in the research, and I've discussed my ideas with you first a lot, I consider you the honorary third host.
Oh, yeah!
And you are welcome back anytime, even if we already have a guest planned.
I fangirl over Shelby the way that Mabel fangirls over Sev'ral Timez.
Yeah, Shelby sent you a freaking princess dress.
I did!
Shelby sent me a princess
It is so beautiful!
I wear it all the
It looks better on you than it ever did on me, so I'm so glad I sent it to you.
So let's remind everybody of the plugs. Where can people find you, Shelby Sessler?
So I am Shelby Sessler on just about every platform. You can find me under that on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. If you want to look for my secret things, you can look for Shelbini also on Twitter and Shelbini Cosplay on Facebook if you're old and you also like to use Facebook, like me.
And please check out her DuckTales comic dubs on YouTube.
Yes!
She makes me voice all of the creatures in them.
I'm going to start working on the fourth one, like this week. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need me to re-record anything for
I
it.
might. You did lose your voice in the middle of that one, so I might.
Sure did. Oh, and also check me out in the new Strange Aeons video. Eons? Eons? I'm doing some dramatic readings of obviously fake Tumblr posts for her.
Thank you so much for coming today, Shelby. You are actual concentrated sunshine, and you give me energy and remind me to love life.
And if you enjoyed hearing us with Shelby, there's going to be a bonus episode coming out in 2 days. Friday the 22nd, we are going to be looking at the first episode of Gravity Falls writer Shion Takuchi's new show, Inside Job.
Yes!
Yeah.
Come for conspiracy theories and some Mothman.
2 podcasts with Shelby this week. Is Is it my birthday? No, it's not.
But it's almost mine.
It is almost your birthday. That's true.
Yeah.
So for your birthday, you're giving us presents?
Of course, that's how birthdays really work.
Of your presents?
Of course. The presents of my presents.
All that's left to say is Kyle and Sim, play us out.
Take me back to the place I know with the mystery shack and the forest gnomes. I'm already back, so come on, let's go. Don't get me started. My heart's in gravity.